If you lose your job, you have huge unexpected medical costs, or heaven forbid, another 2020 happens, you might need more to feed your family than the food in your fridge. But if you've stocked up on the foods that your family eats regularly, then you don't have to worry about it. That's right, today we are talking food storage and I'm going to show you how to get started. So to get started, I would recommend starting with a 3-month supply. Think smaller rather than this huge, massive amount of food. What you want to do is focus on foods that your family loves and eats all the time. And make sure that you have things on hand to make your family's favorite meals so that if there was an emergency, whether it's a weather emergency or something like a lost job, that you would have enough food on hand that you could survive on what you have at home for 3 months. So you might be saying, Lauren, this sounds great, but how do I actually go about doing it? Well, here's how. So you start small. This doesn't have to be an all-at-once kind of thing. Start next time you go to the grocery store. Instead of buying 1 can of tomatoes or 1 thing of peanut butter at Costco, buy 2 and just save the other one for later. And don't wait to buy more until you're down to your last one. The key is as soon as this one is gone, you buy another one to replace it so you always have an extra one on hand. I've mentioned this before in a previous video about saving money, which I will put right up here in the cards if you're interested on some really great money saving tips you may not have thought of. See this box of chocolate chips, or this case of chocolate chips I should say, but I bought 2 full boxes of these when they were at a good price. So it's really important that you know what is a good price on the things that you buy all the time. Chocolate chips are normally $3 something a bag for this little 12-ounce bag. I got these for $1.69 per bag. So make sure you know when it's a good price so that you can stock up. Side note, if you're like me and you don't have a great memory, you may want to write these prices down in your phone or in a little notebook so you remember what the best deals are on these items rather than trying to go off your memory. At the time of filming, it is July and our gardens are bursting with produce. So even if you don't have your own garden, but maybe you have a friend or a neighbor or a family member who has a ton of produce, they just don't know what to do with it, this is a great way to build up your 3-month supply. And that is, you can can it. So you can, this is homemade salsa that I made a couple of years ago. We had a neighbor who had a ridiculous amount of tomatoes in their garden and said, come take whatever you want. So I came and took quite a few buckets and I made some homemade salsa for my salsa loving family. And this is sealed, so this will last for quite a number of years. So this is a great way to build up your 3-month supply. And another way to do that is to dehydrate things. Maybe you've bought fruit or vegetables and they're starting to get a little soft or a little overripe and you don't know what to do with them. You can pop them in the dehydrator. Kale makes great kale chips if you've never tried those, or even things like bananas or apples or berries. You can always slice them pretty thin, put them in a dehydrator or in the oven at a low temperature, and they're ready in just a few hours, and they last for a long time. A deep freezer like this one can be a great asset when you're adding to your 3-month supply of food. So things like, I make 4 loaves of bread at a time, but if I had just a regular little old freezer that's attached to my fridge, I could not fit all of that in there. So I have extra bread on hand and I just stash it in my freezer. You spy a great deal on pork loins, buy 2 and you have space. We have a discount grocery store in our town that I love because there are some really good deals there. Now you do have to pick and choose. Sometimes I go and I find nothing. Other times I go and find things like these English muffins that are always $1.60 a package, which is way cheaper than my local grocery stores. So when you find things like this, you can stock up on them and pop them in your freezer and they'll last in there for 3 months for sure. Hey, will you tell me in the comments down below, do you already have a 3-month supply worth of food? Or is this something that you're just getting started on? And if you're liking this video so far, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Now you may be wondering, where do I keep all of this food? And I get it. Not everyone has like an entire room they can devote to storing all the 3 months worth of food. We do have that kitchen downstairs that I showed you just a few minutes ago, so we've been very blessed to have that. And we also have this pantry behind me, which is a mess, but I will show you. This is also where we keep some of the food that we cycle through on a regular basis. Okay, but what if you don't have a pantry or a kitchen downstairs to store this 3 months worth of supply worth of food? Other than the freezer, which I still highly recommend, you might have to get creative. Things like underneath your furniture, underneath your beds. Maybe you have an extra closet or a shelf in a closet even that you can put some things in. Maybe there's a spot in the garage or your basement or your crawl space. You may have to look for those little nooks and crannies, or maybe rearrange some of the cupboards in your kitchen so that you can allow for that extra food. But trust me, the peace of mind is worth it. One of the things I would highly suggest to make the process a lot easier is to take notes as you go, because you're going to learn the things that your family really does love and eat. I thought that my teenagers loved these mandarin orange fruit cups, but discovered after buying a Costco-sized box of them that they no longer really care for them, so they just sat there in my cupboards and went bad. So make sure you take notes of the things that your family loves and is eating so that you really can stock up on those things instead of all the other things and finding out that you're just wasting a whole lot of money. One of the most important things with your 3-month food supply is that you rotate it and replenish it as you use it. You don't want to get all this food and then use it all and have to start from scratch. So there are a couple of ways to do this. First, you can go off the expiration date on the lid, or you can take a Sharpie and you can actually write on the container either the date that you got it or the expiration date. You can choose how you want to do it. Obviously, you need to keep it consistent. That way, you'll always be using what you have, nothing will go bad, so you're not wasting money, and you'll be using the oldest ones first. Having extra food on hand does not make you a crazy prepper, it makes you prepared. Even with rising prices, you can actually save money shopping this way, because you're gonna buy things now when they're a good price, but they're gonna go up in price eventually. So don't feel weird about storing extra food. And on your way out, don't forget to check out that 72-hour bag, bug out bag video that I made just a few months ago. It'll teach you how to make an emergency pack for natural disasters or other reasons why you might need to have 3 days worth of food and clothing to grab and go.